To kick the series off, I decided I was going to tie up some generic patterns or utility patterns, whatever you want to call them. There are a few patterns that really do just stand out from the crowd. Now what you see in the vise is Frank Sawyer's pheasant tail nymph. Now the idea is the nymph itself is kind of a generic nymph, and there's many an angler out there that would put this on a pedestal with good reason. It's a truly tried and tested pattern that stood the test of time. I think it is a very good baetis nymph or baetis imitation, but you can obviously fiddle about with this. There's tons of variations, but there's just certain patterns, because they stand out from the crowd so much, and not only is it a good baetis imitation, you could probably then start looking at from a stonefly perspective too. You can vary the size and create so many variations with this. I just figured it needs to have a video in its own right. So I've tried to tie this exactly, or at least how I think Frank Sawyer tied his up. So looking at a lot of the patterns that I've seen in the videos I've seen of him tying, pretty hard to see what he's doing in some of the videos, but some of the patterns and stuff I've seen, I think this is pretty close to how he would have tied them, albeit I have seen where he's tied off behind the thorax section too. My personal preference is in front of the thorax, behind the eye, but I'll leave that down to you. This is Frank Sawyer's pheasant tail nymph. In the vise is a size 16 nymph hook, and the wire I'm using is UTC Ultra extra fine copper. Now to start this, I actually like to use my hackle pliers just to help catch that tag in. The reason behind that is it just helps me minimize the amount of waste with the wire. Right from there, I'm just going to build in this like little thorax kind of bulbous section, and then work the wire down to pretty much just over the barb. For the body on the tail is cock pheasant tail fibres. I'll take about 4 fibres. 4 seems to be a pretty good number for the size hook. Then measure out the fibres to roughly about the length of the hook shank. You can go a little bit stubby if you like. I'm just going to trap that in, a couple of turns, and then from there I'm just going to wrap the fibres around the wire like so. Okay, from there I'm just going to catch in. I'm just going to wrap them both in together. So you will find it's quite a scruffy looking body to it. There's a lot of gaps in it, but that's the idea behind it. From there, going to go swap hands, catch those fibres in behind the hook eye, kind of a big wide turn, peel the fibres back, trap the fibres in where you want the thorax section to be. Take the wire back up with the fibres, and just a couple of turns to trap them in. At this point you can stop and see where you are. If you want to add a bit more of a deeper thorax, you can actually backtrack at that point and then just add in a deeper thorax. Pull those back up. So you can see you can just kind of increase or decrease the thorax section. Make sure you're happy with it. Yeah, once I'm happy with that, I then go in with just a little bit of wax, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 turns back, and then a 3 turn will finish forwards back to behind the hook eye. Okay, bit of a pull tight, bit of a helicopter then to take the tag off. The hook slipped it at this point, you can just move it about. Right from there, helicopter and break off those tag pieces, and there you have your pattern. Really simple little pattern to tie. Hope you've enjoyed that.